In a world ravaged by nuclear fire, where civilizations and tribes often collapsed and peace and growth never seemed obtainable, one nation stood out. Not through brutality, but through its attempt to restore democracy. The New California Republic, or NCR, is one of the most influential and complex political entities in Fallout's post-apocalyptic landscape. From humble beginnings in the settlement of Shady Sands to sprawling bureaucratic governance across the West, the NCR embodies hope to many people of the wasteland. But in many ways falls victims to the hubris and many issues that once plagued the old world. Its rise brought order, trade, and stability to thousands. Its flags flew where once only raiders and warlords reigned. But with power came growing pains, corruption, inequality, overtension and taxation, and an ever-widening gap between its founding ideals and its daily realities for the average citizen, especially on its frontier states. Today we explore the story of the NCR, its founding principles, heroic efforts, internal flaws, and enduring legacy. A tale of vision, strength, but also weakness, ambition, but also disillusionment. Keep in mind this is not going to be a major lore dump on each segment of the NCR, but this is meant to be more of a brief overview of all or most of its general aspects. Each of these topics could easily be their own videos, so for the effort of time and my scripting abilities as of right now, let's get into the timeline. So, the general timeline here. So in 2161, you have the events of Fallout 1, where the Vault Dweller does help Shady Sands quite a bit, and this does lead to quite a bit of growth, which we will get into later. In 2189, Shady Sands becomes the capital of the newly founded New California Republic, first under Aradesh, and then under his daughter Tandy. In the mid-2200s, the NCR expands, absorbing the hub, Junktown, and other regions. By the events of Fallout 2 and 2241, the NCR has grown significantly in power. Its military is a massive force at this point. They got a lot done in that time period by the look of things. In 2270s, the NCR reaches the Mojave, begins the occupation of the dam, and due to the agreement with House, they had a formal treaty in play. New Vegas was not occupied, but was allowed to remain an independent state as long as 5% of the power generated from Hoover Dam goes to the New Vegas Strip, the rest of it being sent back to the New California Republic. In 2277, the first battle of Hoover Dam against Caesar's Legion occurs, and in 2282 come the events of Fallout New Vegas, which is the second battle of Hoover Dam, which is heavily influenced by the player's decisions. The story of the NCR begins in Fallout 1, in the settlement of Shady Sands. Nestled between the ruins of Vault 15 and Vault 13, Shady Sands was founded by Vault 15 dwellers and wastelanders. Key among its early leaders was Aradesh, a visionary who sought stability and cooperation in a lawless world, and whose ancestors were one of the first founding members of Shady Sands. Aradesh would also eventually become one of the first acting presidents of the NCR until his death in 2196. It's also important to note that Shady Sands was jump-started using Vault 15's GEC as well. Shady Sands would gain critical support from the Vault Dweller, protagonist of the original Fallout game, who helped the town thrive by limiting threats like raiders, mutant menaces, and also rescuing Tandy, who eventually would become president of the NCR. This all led to a period of rapid development under Aradish's leadership, and in 2189, the NCR would officially be formed. Aradesh acted as president until his death in 2196. His daughter Tandy would then be elected president, and under the leadership of Tandy, Shady Sands evolved into the capital of the New California Republic. President Tandy lived to become one of the longest-serving presidents in NCR history, and was instrumental in the foundational forming of the Republic. By uniting nearby towns like Junktown, the Hub, and Dayglow, which can be seen on the NCR's $100 bill, the NCR took its first step towards nationhood, and would later expand into the massive nation we eventually see. Officially established in 2189, the NCR was founded on pre-war American ideals. Its constitution was heavily inspired by the US model, emphasizing democracy, rule of law, and civil liberties. The NCR was governed by a legislature, had a presidency and a judicial branch, and was a general attempt to revive the structures that had perished in nuclear fire. The Republic's goals were noble: restore order, revive civilization, and protect its citizens. However, embedded within this ideology was a growing tendency towards expansionism and plutocracy. The NCR saw itself as the natural unifier of the post-apocalyptic West, often absorbing settlements for their own good. Though even still, life under the NCR for many of these settlements was still better than their previous leadership. Over the decades, the NCR expanded aggressively. Cities like the Hub became economic centers under NCR jurisdiction, and territories like Dayglow were revitalized. It's not specified exactly when, but by 2241, the NCR is a massive military force comprised of several regiments, including mechanized and motorized forces. The average NCR trooper wears khaki or brown fatigues, a standard issue helmet, and depending upon supply, frag vests, and potentially other available equipment not in use by any of their special regiments or rangers. The primary weapon is the service rifle, a semi-automatic firearm chambered in 5.56, reliable and easy to maintain on the field. They also carry basic field equipment including canteens, rations, and first aid supplies. The NCR have also acquired suits of T-45 power armor from the recent battles with the Brotherhood of Steel in the Mojave Wasteland at the Battle of Helios I and during the Battle of Lost Hills, which saw the Brotherhood presence from the west virtually extinguished. The NCR also field a number of unique or specialized units such as 1st Recon and the elite NCR Desert Rangers. The Rangers resemble old world lawmen, were highly respected and often operated independently, handling high-risk missions and maintaining order on the frontier. The creed emphasized service, sacrifice, and integrity, and many viewed them as the last line of defense against the chaos of the wasteland. They wear rugged trench coats over advanced riot armor, along with distinctive ranger helmets that feature gas masks and glowing red eyes. Their weaponry varies, often including .50 caliber rifles and revolvers, but they are trained on virtually any conventional firearm and will use whatever the situation calls for. Rangers are trained in survival, tracking, and guerrilla warfare, capable of operating independently for extended missions deep into hostile territory. Another notable unit was 1st Recon, a legendary sniper unit known for its precision, discipline, and elite training. Based in Camp McCarran during the events of Fallout New Vegas, 1st Recon became a symbol of the NCR's military professionalism. Their members, such as Boone, were battle-hardened veterans, often deployed on the most dangerous assignments. They typically can be seen sporting .308 caliber rifles, but for the enemies of the NCR, they simply became the last thing you never see. The red berets they wore became synonymous with deadly accuracy and unwavering loyalty. As the NCR grew in size and complexity, so too did its political landscape. One of the most influential factions within the Republic was the Brahmin Barons, powerful ranching families who controlled vast herds of Brahmin, which formed the backbone of the NCR economy. These barons wielded immense economic and political influence, particularly in the central NCR territories like California. With their wealth, they lobbied favorable legislation, secured land deals, and at times, dictated policy decisions that benefited the agricultural elite over the common citizen. Critics accused them of corruption, exploitation of frontier settlers, and using their power to prevent meaningful reforms. In many ways, the Brahmin Barons became symbolic of the NCR's descent into plutocracy, where money and influence outweighed democratic ideals. While they provided food, trade goods, and employment to thousands, their involvement in backroom politics left many disillusioned with the Republic's promises of fairness and equality. In towns on the outskirts, resentment towards the Brahmin Barons simmered, which only further widened the gap between the NCR heartland and its frontier territories. By the time of Fallout New Vegas, the NCR is stretched thin. It has extended its borders into the Mojave Wasteland, seeking control of Hoover Dam and the valuable electricity it provides. The NCR's presence is heavy in the area, but morale is often low. Corruption, poor supply lines, and internal power struggles plague the army at the frontier. Frontier soldiers often face ambushes and morale crisis, while NCR command struggles with strategic indecision. The NCR's presence in the Mojave is seen as both a liberating and oppressive force. Some locals appreciate the order and trade they bring, but many others resent the taxation and bureaucracy, along with arrogant military officers and soldiers that come to the area. Tensions between the NCR and the Mojave's inhabitants create a fertile ground for discontent and rebellion. Despite these setbacks, the Second Battle of Hoover Dam in 2282 is a turning point. The outcome, depending on the player's choices, determines whether the NCR secures control of the region or faces a humiliating retreat. Regardless of the result, the events of New Vegas leave the NCR forever changed. The new California Republic represents the complicated reality of rebuilding civilization after the end of the world. It is a republic forged with noble ideals and tempered by harsh realities. Its successes, like the restoration of law, infrastructure, and economy, cannot be ignored, but neither can its failures, overreach, corruption, and tendency to place political power and economic gain above the will of its citizens. For all its flaws, the NCR is still one of the Wasteland's most hopeful experiments. It seeks more than survival. It aims for prosperity, structure, and justice, even if imperfectly realized. In a world where raiders, tyrants, and warlords dominate, the NCR stands as a flawed but meaningful alternative. And while its story is still unfolding, the legacy of the NCR will be debated and studied, and remembered both in-game and among Fallout fans for years to come. Especially now as recent adaptations have introduced retcons and revisions that have challenged long-held lore. It's more important than ever to understand the roots of the Republic. In the end, the NCR may not be the shining beacon it once hoped to be, but it remains a symbol of humanity's enduring drive to rebuild, govern, and hope.